Manchester United share prices skyrocket as talk of the takeover continues. I'm going to round up this week's news around the takeover, where we're up to, what this means for Manchester United before we enter a really important phase of Manchester United's season. Focus needs to be from off the pitch, on the pitch from today, really. So we'll cut off the takeover talk unless anything breaks. I want to bring you completely up to date with that and where we actually are at with it and what's going on the stock exchange and where Manchester United's value currently sits. I want to talk about the transfer news as well, leading into a massive press conference for Ruben Amorim tomorrow. Selection headaches ahead of Liverpool. The transfer news on its own. Former Manchester United players being linked with Manchester United again. There's loads to get through in this morning's show, everybody. Welcome along to Forever United, Forever United TV. I'm Adam. Sorry, I got my words mixed up there. Anyone asking, by the way, about the throat? It sounds a lot worse than what it is. It is getting better. So, ready for the Liverpool game this weekend. I should have some form of vocal cords ready to explode on your screens in that watch along this Sunday. It's going to be a mad one. More on that in a bit. So, the takeover talk and what's happening. We know where we're at. We know what's happened from day one going into where we're at today. And today it is all about Manchester United's share prices. What is going on? Is something really happening going off the movement in the market now? Manchester United shares up over $18 a share now, the highest they've been in a very, very long time. Estimated some 400 million now added to the value of Manchester United because of this hike in prices and this surge that we've seen with all of this takeover talk. Some people will say that this is just deliberate, just to get the share prices up at Manchester United. Realistically, what are we looking at? Still the same timescale, still the same person who dropped that tweet, still the same journalist struggling to find out exactly what is going on, knowing that there is definitely interest in a UAE consortium coming in to buy Manchester United. The Glazers will sell before February 2027 to max out if they are going to sell. Now, if being the most important word out of everything there. Look, we're all Manchester United fans. None of us, well, some people might actually be, and I do apologise if you are savvy and are financially sound in terms of knowing and knowledge of the stock market, where things are going, takeovers. It doesn't really matter. All we can look at is what's a definite. And what are definites in this situation right now are United's share prices going up because of the talk. Usually what happens, speculation drives the prices up. Everybody knows this. And United are as high as they've been for a while right now. And the value is good for the Glazers. And it is looking good for anyone who has got shares in Manchester United right now. Anyway, that chart going up means one thing. Obviously, the talk, like I said, and what is going on behind the scenes. And we know from what, and the only report, just to keep you completely up to date so you're not being carried away with any bull or absolute garbage from anywhere else online, is that Ben Jacobs has said that there is indeed interest in a consortium from the UAE, perhaps Dubai-based, that are looking to come together to potentially buy Manchester United. That's the one definite that we've seen so far, along with the share price because of this news and Turkey Al Sheikh's tweet sending the prices upwards. And Manchester United right now, as you see them as a football club, could be the best time to buy Manchester United. And I do believe in all of this, and this is what I wanted to summarise today. I do believe in all of this, that anyone coming into Manchester United and the stories of ambassadors coming in, former Manchester United players, tells me another thing as well. And when I'm thinking about this, and this is my own opinion on this, and you can pile into the chat as well. So share prices where they are, Turkey Al Sheikh's tweet, what Ben Jacobs said, who we know is actually coming together for Manchester United. One thing I do believe fully in, and you would have heard me say this, talking about this takeover throughout, is that Ineos are going nowhere. And so the Glazers are one part of this. And they're a part that's been forgotten about because the Ineos setup is front and centre, and everyone's talking about what's going on and what they're doing on the ground. Like Sir Jim Radcliffe says, they have their feet on the ground, the Glazers across the pond. I think anybody coming in isn't going to disrupt anything that's going on right now, because Manchester United are probably the lowest they can be. as a football club in history, with the money that's been spent and the absolute dross that's been turned out for Manchester United over the last decade, performances on and off the pitch with everything, and I'm talking about infrastructure, I'm talking about Manchester United's neglect in certain areas, what's happened to the women's team, the academy, the stadium, things like this. It is the perfect time to buy. And anybody coming in would look at what the Glazers are doing, the plans for the new stadium, the plans to really boost Manchester United's revenue, therefore hiking up the prices. This is exactly the right time to buy Manchester United, because if it goes any further and you get full confirmation and actual definites coming out around this new stadium build, then it's going to, again, send the prices through the roof. Therefore, nobody really coming in and taking Manchester United on. Now, you could argue that point by saying, yeah, but Adam, the Glazers are only going to share at $33 a share, and obviously past that, they're going to drop. So why would someone come in and buy now? Well, the Glazers won't share. Sorry, the Glazers won't sell past this, because they're businessmen also. So if you're going to come in and you're going to pay over the top for Manchester United, you're going to pay a premium for the football club, at least you would know that the future of this football club, football-wise, is going to be run by capable football people. Whereas before, no. And don't get me wrong, like, if I'm a normal businessman, I'm staying way clear of Man United on this. What is the point in coming in after everything that I've just said? And that's the point I wanted to make. Like, this has to be some mega rich consortium or someone with astronomical amounts of money to even think about coming in for Manchester United right now. It would be absurd for any businessman to look at what the Glazers want, where United's share price is, value of the club, where the performances are financially, on the pitch, where everything is driven from, and go, we need to buy United. You'll be off your rocker. And that's what everybody would say. Stay clear. But there are obvious people out there who are stinking rich, who want that stature, who want to be in the power position, who want to be the biggest and the strongest and be part of something that is really going to take off. The biggest stadium in England, one of the biggest in the world, with the biggest football club, most famous football club in the world as well, one of. That, I think, is a law for some people. And the amount that's being built around the stadium. And I can just tell you this off personal experience from the survey that I have been sent from Manchester United regarding the ticketing system and what's happening for the new stadium, that there is a lot of infrastructure being built around this stadium. There is absolutely massive plans going ahead with different things going on, and it will be absolutely huge. So that, if the football becomes right and it's looking like we're trying to move in that direction, maybe now is the only time. Because I don't see anybody coming in after this, because the Glazers will never sell, I don't think, unless it is going to happen before February 2027. So you're kind of arguing against yourself a little bit in this. You're saying, well, who would buy Man United now for $33 a share because they're not worth that? But then again, you could argue that we are actually now putting an infrastructure in and foundations to go bigger. And then you would obviously put that against, well, we would surely buy Manchester United after February 2027 because the price is lower. But then you know that the Glazers won't sell because they're not getting enough value. So really, it has to be now, if anything. And I think just a little bit of movement in the market will prove to people that if United do get it right, can you imagine where this would go with the infrastructure in place? And that, I think, is how we summarise everything. There are plenty of people. There are plenty of people in play, and obviously there are real players as well. But one thing that this whole, before we move on, one thing that this whole takeover saga, you could say, over the last week has proven is that there is massive value in Manchester United. There are still people out there that want to buy Manchester United, and we now know for sure all of the minor details post-Dragon rights to what Ineos originally agreed with the Glazer family when first purchasing that 27.7% stake in Manchester United. We now know, because it's forced the journalists to actually find out what the clauses are, what could happen, what needs to happen for this to go through. So now we all know. Now at least we're not in the dark anymore around what it's going to take to buy Manchester United. We know the figure, we know what the Glazers want, and let's see if there is any big rich consortium that does turn up. and saves the day for Manchester United. Past that, again, like I said, I still think they would want to come in and work with the Glazers. Work with Ineos. I fully think that there would be some offer on the table to work alongside them, and I don't think Ineos are that stupid. So Jim Ratcliffe isn't that stupid to not put yourself in a position knowing that this could happen. That, I think, is how we round up and summarise the whole takeover saga and talk at the moment. And when something else comes out significant, we will talk about it. At the moment, the share price is telling you its whole story. The share price is moving because there is interest in Manchester United. If United get it right, that share price will absolutely go through the roof. And I think even now, with United at their lowest point, just takeover talk alone has boosted the share price by the amount that it has done. So that, I think, now is how we look at it. I think there is people out there rich enough. There are people out there rich enough to buy Manchester United. I think the Glazers are open to selling at their price. Ineos have positioned themselves in a way where it would be difficult for anybody to come in and try and ignore what they're doing. And I think now that it's out in the open, everybody can just sit back and wait to see what actually happens next. And if nothing happens at all, then we're back to where we was. And at least we've got plans and an infrastructure in place. But also, from what I said last night, by the way, everybody, the situation with the new wage cap and squad to ratio rule that's coming in for PSR that's going to be implemented, that I think is going to be massive for Manchester United going forward. So it's not a loss. It's not a big loss it is a loss. It's not because we haven't lost anything, because we didn't have anything in the first place. But if the Glazers don't sell up, at least there is a lot of positives coming from the other news, which is coming through as well at the moment. So look, I don't want to round it up and be downbeat about it. It looks positive that share prices are going up for the people and the powers that be. But no smoke without fire. And at least we know there is an actual consortium trying to come together. So there is always still interest in United. And let's see what happens from here, I think, on this one. Let's run through a few comments because we have got quite a lot of other news to get through as well. Don't forget, the share price at the moment has raised the value of Manchester United to somewhere around about 400 million right now. Nowhere near what the actual valuation of Ineos is. But at the moment, the stories, and if you searched it up, the way it's going, Glazers could demand $7 billion for Manchester United. So that's where we're actually at. It's $400 million, by the way, not pounds. I need to make that clear. Ineos are close to getting all the planning through for the development of the area around the stadium. They are looking for investment. There's something linked. There is all the stories of the stadium, like Stephen says there, along with this takeover. I think there is something in play. I do think that with what is going on, and they are going full bore on this stadium, people are still laughing at it and where the funding's coming from. And the day that they released these new models and this plan for the new stadium, everyone was like, where are they going to do what? Ineos are a determined outfit, and so Jim Ratcliffe is not going to hold back. The plans are in place, and the ground around the stadium, someone needs to invest into it. And all of a sudden, the share price goes up because somebody else might be looking to invest into Manchester United big. There's no way the Glazers ploughing this amount of money and putting plans for this stadium without something happening in the background. I don't actually feel like Sir Jim can buy out the Glazers right now. My own opinion right now, and this might be a little bit far-fetched, is that there is somebody else who wants to come in and perhaps work alongside the Ineos model. The fact that ambassadors for Manchester United are being spoken about, not investors, ambassadors, that was made very clear the other day as well, with this UAE consortium, kind of tells me they need men on the ground and they need to work alongside somebody else. Let's see what happens with this. And again, there is too much smoke to have no fire. Let's see how this develops over the coming months, probably, because it isn't going to happen quickly. At least we know there is talks going on, and that at the moment is probably music to every single Man United fan's ears. No smoke without fire. This happened to the sharp price when the media started bigging up Yazim. It's called speculation. Yeah, but one thing you can't deny, Andrew, and you can play this down and be negative about it, and that's totally fine, by the way, Andrew, mate. And I get where people are at who don't want to listen to this story and don't think it's genuine. You've seen the story, you've seen the movie before. I get it. And you're quite within your rights to say that. But what I'm looking at here is facts. The facts are the stadium isn't going to pay for itself. Somebody else has to come in and invest. Whether that is in a small amount, maybe the Glazers are still here. Someone's got to come in and invest into this. And I think there is some kind of power surge in this, I feel, regarding what they might get if they invest, say, into the stadium. Say they want to pay. They want some kind of share in Manchester United. These are the things that you would look at. No coincidence that Ineos put out their plans just before them Dragon rights end. You would say that's kind of risky, wouldn't you, to do that? The Glazers can sell, and there's nothing that Ineos can do about it. Ineos are not stupid, though. It just doesn't make sense that they would plough this money in without getting some kind of return from it. Now, obviously, they can make their money back. That is what would happen if them share prices were agreed, the $33 a share. That gives Ineos their money back, and it's no loss. I don't think Sir Jim Ratcliffe would want to have invested into a new training ground, a new Old Trafford in terms of the tunnel and the seating area and opening things up. I don't think he would want to invest his own money into Manchester United, £300 million worth, to then just say bye after nearly 2 years. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. And when you put everything into the picture, it kind of starts to shape and form itself into the inevitable. Who is going to pay? The Glazers are not. I don't think Sir Jim Ratcliffe is, unless he gets more shares and more power. Somebody has to pay for this stadium. Now, you could always say that it can be just put onto the football club and more debt on Manchester United, because in another decade, the stadium will pay for itself. Seems like a long time, doesn't it? But in football, like we've just seen, a decade can pass by with in no time, with complete destruction. Hopefully we need a decade now. It's going to go by quickly, where it can actually be the resurgence of Manchester United, or a redevelopment, a new stadium, and United move forward. Look, there's so many different ways that you can look at it. But again, we know there's a consortium. We know there is talks. We know the Glazers have this option to sell. And we're building a new stadium. We're building a new, like city, basically, going off what's been said and the infrastructure around the stadium. So there is definitely movement there. Let's just say that. And look, I'm always going to drive the positive. I see lots of positives in this situation. The fact that we're actually talking of a potential sale. The fact we're talking about the regeneration of Old Trafford and around the stadium, the brand new stadium to go to. This would have been pipe dream talks 4 or 5 years ago for Manchester United. There is a lot of positives within. And again, the people that are in play right now, after a couple of years, 3 years, like I said, with Ineos, let's judge them and see where this team is at and where this club is at by then. I reckon by the time, let's just say, we get to Christmas next year, let's just say that. That's near enough then, heading into 3 years of Ineos, 3 transfer windows. I think the majority of the old guard, Deadwood, would be probably out of the door. Well, we've talked about that. We'll see on that one. The stadium plans will definitely be in place. We'll know whether it's happening or not. And I think Manchester United will be higher up the league. There's a lot of hope in there as well, in my prediction. But from what I'm seeing, and I know we've gone downwards since Ineos have come in, but look, this time last year, we had 8 points. We've got 10. So we're on the up, people. Let's just look at it that way. I know you're like, Adam, shut up. Shut up right now. I'm trying to cheer everybody up before Liverpool this weekend. That's my job. I'm here to try and spin the positive. Look, not spin the crap and just talk negative completely all the time about United. Look, there is a lot in what I said which is just based off hope. And that's my opinion alone. And I get where everyone else, like I've just said, gets the negative vibe from this. But I see improvements, and again, I see the right people working within Manchester United now, and hopefully that's going to carry us forward. If we do get investment on top of this, honestly, it's Christmas come early. For not just this year, for the next 5 years. That's how big this is. So I'm going to talk about everything that is there and in front of us right now and try and look at the details of it. And I think we do have cause for optimism. Big shout out for Ian Sterling, the former Must executive member who would have been 60, I think, today. A great man, sorely missed. Thank you, Graham. I'm sure there are plenty of people that think the same way with all the work that goes on behind the scenes with Must. Is that Ineos? I think that's supposed to say there. Could Ineos be in talks with a consortium because they know the Glazers are crap? Look, they're not going to publicly out the majority shareholders of Manchester United. So anyone thinking that Ineos love the Glazers, like behind the scenes, I'm probably guessing that is a different story altogether. Because you have to be careful. Like, they got into bed with the Glazers because they needed to get a foot in the door. There is definitely no way, and I will say it one more time before we move on, 100% not a chance that Ineos go into this and spend this amount of time, money and effort and restructuring of Manchester United if they are going to be out after 2 years. They're not going anywhere. The Glazers, I don't know. But Ineos are the future of Manchester United, whether you like it or not. I don't see them budging. I really don't. He is too savvy and smart to be one of the richest men in the country, and this happened to him and everything been taken away from him. I will be shocked. Look, I'll never say never. I always say that, but I just don't see it. I don't see Sir Jim Ratcliffe leaving Man United. He is a man on a mission right now, and you know what? He may welcome the extra investment and coming alongside somebody else. He might get more shares, he might get more power, and he might make more money out of Manchester United. Because don't forget that Sir Jim Ratcliffe isn't in this for legacy and not looking to make money. That's a complete load of garbage, and nobody's been carried away or thinking that is why Sir Jim Ratcliffe is here. Boyhood, Man United fan, all of that. Yeah, blah, blah, great story. Crap. He's a businessman. He wants money. It's as simple as that. Everyone who comes in and spends money wants a return, especially when it's a business. That's why you call it a business. So, yeah, he isn't the richest man on the planet. He's not come in and completely bought everything out and rid Man United of any debt. So he has to have a business model. Otherwise, United don't go forward if Ineos don't go forward. And all their investments are about making things better and operating better, therefore becoming more profitable. That word he has used endless amounts of times in every single interview. I think he's mentioned profitability in every interview and conversation he's had since taking over Manchester United. So that right there, with what Sir Jim has said, tells me he's in this to make money as well. So it needs to be the right investment, and he needs to still be in power so he can make the maximum money, because he's not going to trust anybody else with what he's doing, which is why he's only bought a certain amount in. And he knows that money's safe, because if the Glazers do sell on him, he's going to get all that money back. Yes, he would have invested into the training ground. That money all still comes back in, because the investment that he's put into Manchester United was part of the percentage of what he owns, which is why it's gone to just under 30% now from 27%. So the 300 extra million he's put in, or 200 and something I think it is, was part of what he's actually paying into the club to own. All that will come back to him. So he's safe. He's not losing anything. So that's his protection. And nobody's going to buy United past 2027 when the share price is so low, because the Glazers won't, like I said, release their shares because they're not making enough money. That's how I see it. Robbie says, no smoke without fire. That's the favourite line today, isn't it? Right, let's move on. Enough on the Glazers and Ineos. Let's see, like we said, how that develops coming up to the last few days. Adam, life's a bitch. Then you marry one sod Ineos and Glazers. Pete, I don't know. That kind of came out like a typo, I think, there, mate. Sort of get where you were going, buddy, with it. Right, transfer news. Now, Indy Kelly broke the news last night that Manchester United have actually approached Elliot Anderson. I'll bring you the story now and what's actually been said. You might have seen this morning. You might have read about it or heard about it being talked about. But this is the story in full here and what has been written. Exclusive Manchester United officials met CAA Stellar, who are the world-leading sports agency. Elliot Anderson is represented by CAA Stellar. Manchester United presented their long-term project to the player, who will leave Nottingham Forest this January or summer. I can't talk about covering all bases with one line there. He won't leave in January. I mean, that's my opinion. I'm not saying that is a definite, by the way, but come on. I personally, with Forest still in Europe, what's going on at that football club? You think Mazarakis is going to sell Elliot Anderson? Come on. No, but if the right price comes in, then what we are looking at is a definite chance of Manchester United getting Anderson. But like I've said many times before, Manchester United need to be in a decent position in Europe, competitive-wise, because the people we're up against, like Newcastle, where he's been heavily linked to going to this summer, back to Newcastle, in fact. I think he only went for 34 million, an unknown, smashed it in the first 2 seasons of his time at Nottingham Forest, just because of a freak injury as well. At the start of last season, he's got his place in the side and he's never looked back. And now Forest could be doing the best bit of business ever by selling him back and doubling their money. Maybe going out and getting somebody else. Honestly, right now, I think Elliot Anderson is a very difficult player to try and replace. You're going to have to get good money. This is the problem I've got with Elliot Anderson right now. I think he will be up there, and I think Nottingham Forest will demand more than what Crystal Palace want for Adam Wharton. I think that's the reality of it. And where I like him, I love him. And again, over this week, we've gone through every single one. We've had different stories on every single one of Manchester United's so-called midfield top targets. Baleba, on, then off. And you've got Adam Wharton, who is on and now favourite for Manchester United, off their top of their list, like we said last night. And now we've got Elliot Anderson the morning after. It's no surprise. It's international break and there's not much going on. So the speculation columns are there. So, when you look at everything that has gone down, when you look at all the talk of Anderson and his potential move to Newcastle, where he might go, if United do come in for him, then I'm sure you all picked up on the same issue that I did just there then. Elliot Anderson is represented by CAA Stellar. Yes. That same agency which operates and represents Kobbie Mainoo. And Manchester United's relationship with them, well, let's just say we're at a standoff. And this is normal practice between clubs and agencies. Of course, no one agrees the first price. But Manchester United have been in constant contact and negotiations for Kobbie Mainoo's contract with CAA Stellar for a year now. And it's not moved anywhere. Kobbie's unhappy. They will start to push. This is the same agency that represents Dean Henderson as well. And we all know how that story developed for Dean Henderson when he was leaving Manchester United. This is an agency that will stop at nothing to get the right price for their player. And I don't know if Manchester United want to go into business or communicate with them. Look, I'm guessing here at the scenario, and I'm guessing that there is some kind of issue between CAA Stellar and Manchester United, because they are the ones that are really, really pushing the Kobbie Mainoo situation right now. And that being that he is working hard behind the scenes. They're trying to big up their player and make it look like it's Manchester United that have got the problem. As an agent, you probably would do that. And that's what we all expect anyway. But look, I'm not saying that just because they are the agents of Elliot Anderson that this is going to cause Man United a problem. I think United are open to working with some of the worst agents, and we've seen this many a times before, and the most notorious ones. So it's no real problem for Manchester United. But again, it comes down to what I said last night, that if United are not in Europe or any form of Europe, this lad's going to want Champions League football. He's going through exactly the same situation as Kobbie Mainoo did. He broke onto the scene, had a great season, and now he's in the England fold. And he's going to be wanting to play at the highest level. He's going to want Champions League football next season. And that, I think, is Man United's problem in all of this. We're up against bigger bidders and better teams at the moment. Not bigger clubs, but just better teams. And we know that's going to cause a problem. United at least have to have proof of progression and European football to the extent of maybe the Europa League. They need to have that because there is clearly then a move from last season back into Europe, and obviously Manchester United have another avenue into the Champions League again with the Europa League next season also. It just helps. Look, I'm not saying that's going to be the clincher, but you cannot go in for people like Elliot Anderson, I don't think now, off the back of 2 seasons with no European football. It starts to fade away, and as big as Man United's name is, I do think that is going to be a big problem for us with other transfers. And that is proven as well in the other news which is going on and going around, that Manchester United are actually looking at Jimmy Garner again. I know. And check this one out. Jimmy Garner is actually a target for Manchester United. So when people were talking last night and we were talking about Wharton and Baleba, I seen the chat running. I was having a look through it and I could see people saying, we need to look at options B and C. We're not going to get option A. We're not going to get the best in class. Now, this obviously then drops down to the likes of Jimmy Garner. And yes, you remember Manchester United did actually sell Jimmy Garner to Everton a few years back now with all the shake-up that was going on. Jimmy Garner, actually, and this is a story from Graham Bailey on Jimmy Garner. According to the journalist Graham Bailey, Manchester United are considering a move for James Garner at the end of the season. The Everton midfielder, who swapped Old Trafford for Goodison Park in the summer of 2022, has caught the eye in the early stages of the season. Garner has recently entered the final year of his contract at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, making him available on a free transfer in the summer. The 24-year-old has been undroppable for David Moyes, starting in each of Everton's 9 games across all competitions this term. I have watched a lot of Everton this season, actually. I've done a few games over on Football Talks, and Jimmy Garner has been played at fullback. He's now back in midfield because Everton's injury situation has eased, let's just say. And he is having a very, very good season. A very good season. But, again, it does look like a bit of a come down. No disrespect to Jimmy Garner, by the way. I thought he was a good little player when he was at Manchester United. And United, again, didn't get the maximum out of that deal. And now he is a regular in Everton's side, playing regular Premier League football. So I don't know if he would be up for going. I don't know if it would be something he would actually consider coming back to Manchester United. I'm sure Everton are trying everything in their power to try and get him onto a new deal. That is usually the case at this stage. But dangerous game Everton are playing there with him. I don't think United are going to buy him, by the way, but I could actually see him moving on from Everton. They will be scrambling to get a new contract in. I'm going to come to the comments now on these transfers. What do you think about Anderson? What do you think about the Garner news as well, everybody? Get into the comments section. Robbie's just dropped another super chat in. Thank you, Robbie. The silence of the Glazers is a huge key. They have not said they've not said that the club is not for sale, unlike in the recent past. Yeah, I mean, silence. I've said this before with the Glazers. Don't expect to hear anything regarding what the Glazers want or what the Glazers are planning. It's never going to come out, and you're never going to hear about it. Not until something significant has been agreed anyway. Steve Holmes in the chat there just saying, James Garner, please stop it. Hey, look, I don't think we're going to buy him, but Manchester United do have to think outside the box here. Like I said, Elliot Anderson, that's a tough buy for United. They're going to have to commit the majority of their transfer budget for next summer into one midfielder if they want one of Wharton, Anderson or Baleba. It's as simple as that. Romano last night dropped the news after we finished our show that Carlos Baleba is not being sold in January. It is not happening. All of the rumours, all of the so-called transfer requests, all of the uncertainty has been completely put to bed. Baleba isn't going in January. Wharton isn't going in January. Indy Kelly can say that perhaps, maybe, Elliot Anderson will leave in January. I'm putting him right in the same bracket next to Baleba and Wharton. In my opinion, he is going absolutely nowhere. So it's time to think outside the box. And that's exactly what journalists are doing right now in bringing up these stories of interest. Look, all you need to know is that every single football club has scouts and people watching every single player in the world. So journalists can come out and say there is interest, and Manchester United have watched player A, player B, player C. They do it every single day. So it's easy for journalists to look, right, okay, let's perhaps put into a search on Google who is out of contract this year, who's got 1 year left this year, who's a midfielder under the age of 26 that has got Premier League proven experience. Bang, 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 bang. All the names come up. Oh, Jimmy Garner. He used to play for Man United. And United do know who he is. Yes, let's make a story about that. I'm not saying that there is nothing in it, but it's easy to make a story around Manchester United right now for any midfielder. Look at what we've got so far. Look at what we've been dealing with. Joe Bellingham, unhappy, was linked to Manchester United before. Ruben Neves and his ties to the Premier League on his last year at Al Hilal. And now you're looking at Jimmy Garner at Everton last year at the Dickinson Stadium, whatever that stadium is, John Dickinson Stadium. You see where I'm going with it, don't you? You see how they can manipulate the speculation columns with things. It's easy, is what I'm saying. It's easy to make up a name or think of a player and make it a story for Manchester United. But look, United will be looking at every single possibility. And I'm going to tell you right now, the most likely one, in my opinion, would be one of Manchester United's academy lads breaking into the team this season. I don't think we're going to get the player we ideally want in January, which is why I said Joe Bellingham, you've got no chance of United buying him, I don't think. Would they loan him just to send back to Dortmund, get his confidence up if he's not playing games? That's a push as well, but this has happened before the opposite way in January with Dortmund. Maybe that good relationship United have got with them is going to pay dividends to us and we get Joe. But there's a lot of people who still don't think that Joe Bellingham is good enough going from our chat anyway. So who? I'm still waiting for somebody to come out and tell me. I think the only obvious name that jumps out right now is Ruben Neves from Al Hilal, because that is an easy transaction to make. I don't know what his wages would be because he's on over 350 grand a week right now in Al Hilal. But look, his Premier League experience, still in his 20s, and if he's cheap enough, and I think he's going to be on a free soon enough anyway. So I don't know if United would even be that desperate, which is why I feel we will go down the road of bringing through one of our academy players. And that's why I've done a lot of content on Jimmy Thwaites and Alexis Sekou Kone, who is back training now after his broken eye socket surgery, and everything looks like it's going, and he's on track for Sekou Kone. So that's how I see this developing. I can't see United getting these midfielders. Look, when something breaks and when something actually comes out, then I'll be there and I'll report it. I would need something really significant to convince me right now. And I'll talk about all of the news and what's been said, and then we'll have a chat about it like we are doing now. But I do believe that Manchester United will only go for a player they believe is going to improve their team. And I just don't think they're available in January. I'm just putting it out there. I think United would actually hope that one of their academy players comes through and absolutely smashes it, and therefore they can rethink the summer transfer window. That would send the fan base into meltdown, because that would be, according to a lot of the fans, that's skimping and scraping and being stingy with the money and spending. But then again, a lot of Manchester United fans have always said, look, the youth has always been the driving force behind Manchester United. And even Sir Jim Radcliffe said it the other day. Mojo has just become 11-month member. Wow, thank you very much, Mojo. But his comment is, next summer we need 6 to 7 players. And if we don't make it to Europe, where is the money coming from? Unless the owners use the credit card again, increasing debt yet again. No Europe equals sale. Ooh. Mojo's gone down the road of a little bit bittersweet there, hasn't he? It's like, no Europe, damn. But it means the Glazers are going to go and sell. Would you take no European football again if it meant the Glazers were sold? That's what you've got to look at. Would you take that? That's the question that Mojo is posing there, I think, as well. Graham again with another super chat. Well, legend. Thank you, Graham. If United sign Ruben Neves, they want shooting with a ball of their own. Well, I won't say, just like Graham. He's keeping it under the... let's keep it PG is the best thing to say there. I was just reading other comments around it as well. If we signed Ruben Neves, do you agree with Graham there, everybody, that it would be ridiculous? Look, I don't think it's the worst signing in the world. I rate Ruben Neves. I really do. I kind of have that, I rated him 5 years ago, feeling no. And again, the age bracket is why I don't think United will sign Ruben Neves. I don't think Ineos will buy him. They won't. On a free? No. Maybe. But Ineos, I just don't see them spending money on a player over the age of 26. We've seen it now. We are 3 transfer windows in with Ineos and nearly, $500 million spent, and we've not had one player over the age of 26 bought in by Ineos. I think they have their line, they have their cut off, and I don't think they're going to go above it. I really don't. So, yeah, for me, I don't believe Neves. I don't believe Joe Bellingham. I don't believe that we'll get any of the big 3 in January. So who's next? Look, I'm breaking it down factually in terms of what's in front of us right now, and it keeps on sending me back to Man United's academy. That's it. I do think that United will try. I'm not going to say that it's definitely off. There'll be players out there that we might think are nowhere near Manchester United's radar, or a surprise comes up, a surprise package. Look, we might still be looking at a Gomez. We might be still looking at Stiller. There are plenty of midfielders out there that United could go for, but from what I've seen from Ineos, they want to make sure that the player is absolutely spot on. And there is a lot of groundwork going into every signing at the moment at United. I just don't think they're going to go out and buy the obvious ones. Still think we should have bought Paulinho in the summer on loan. No, I not even bought him, but got him on loan in the summer like Spurs did. It was the ideal move for the situation that we're in right now. Cannot believe we didn't go for that still. Seriously, when Collier was on the pitch, when were you ever screaming, what is he doing, or get him off? He was solid, disciplined, and dependable. The boy could we could do with that in our midfield now. Sorry, typo from Steve there, but look, Toby Collier, I don't think it was ever going to be a starter for Manchester United, but as an option in midfield right now, squad player, our little Darren Fletcher, John O'Shea, Phil Neville. Look, you're clutching a bit. I just didn't think Jimmy Garner, as he was solid and he was decent. There's a reason United loaned Toby Collier out, and I just don't think he's not really starting every single game for West Brom. I was checking up on this the other day, and if he's not starting games there, then they're, like I said, as much as you want to have a go at Manchester United for how the club is run, there are people there that will be able to judge a player, and I just don't think Toby Collier had enough. That's just my honest opinion. I don't think he did. Clean, tidy, but I mean, I remember watching him in that Asia tour at the end of last season, and I wasn't impressed then either. That's your chance to shine. Like Shea Lacey came out of that, Sekou Kone came out of that with a lot of praise. Collier didn't, and I think that was why he was sent packing. He just isn't good enough, I don't think, and that is why we got rid of him. Right, just to bring you back to the top story again. I know we said we'd just leave the ownership model there, but a tweet from somebody who I would actually look into when it comes to football finance, Kieran Maguire. More speculative buying drives further growth of almost 8% in Manchester United's share price today, meaning the market cap is now 485 million in a week. So Manchester United are nearly $500 million, and valued $500 million more in 1 week of trading because of the speculation. So yeah, nearly $500 million worth of value onto Manchester United now. Kieran Maguire with that tweet on the situation right now in the in the stock market, and this is this is what we're going to have to be watching now. This is what we're going to have to be looking at. Again, like I said before, I don't think there is anything significant out there for us to really say it's happening now. But I just think moves are being made and things are moving in that direction. They really are. I tell you what, out of everything that's going on right now, thank God football is back. Like, thank God the Premier League is back this weekend. Loads of talk coming up. And obviously, we're back to our live press conference coverage tomorrow, everybody, as well, here on Forever United TV. Instant reaction to all of Ruben Amorim's comments going forward in that press conference ahead of Liverpool. That's going to be very, very interesting. Indeed, because he should be upbeat. He should be raring to go in this game. And United are in, well, as good a place as we have been all season. Let's just say that. But tomorrow, sorry, not tomorrow, the press conference is tomorrow, but Sunday again, and I'll keep saying this now, from this point forward to the game on Sunday, is that game could just end all of the crap that's going on. We could beat Liverpool. And can you imagine the first team to beat Liverpool in God knows how long at Anfield? 2 wins in a row. Manchester United into the European places. Actually winning a game away from home against a big team. You'll have all of them statos that have been clinging on to Manchester United, haven't won a game against anybody other than a promoted side or against 10 men of a normal Premier League side. All of them statos, and it just puts so much to bed and shuts so many people up. It would be glorious. And I will keep on trying to think in that positive vein and keep on thinking that United can get this win and can get a result against Liverpool. And I hope Ruben Amorim is going into this game thinking he can win it. And he doesn't do, like we said yesterday, pick that defensive side. Because if we go defensive against Liverpool, they will win. You might as well try and be competitive. And I don't mean match them up and go toe-to-toe, and they will destroy us if we do that. There has to be an element of attack-minded selection, I think, in the team. I wouldn't bring... I would bring Mazraoui back, but I'd be playing him ahead of Luke Shaw. I wouldn't be bringing Mazraoui into right wing-back. I wouldn't do that. Look, you can argue Dallow's point all day long, but Mazraoui and Dallow together is a problem for United in this game. And I said it yesterday. I think he will do it. And tomorrow we'll be going through my predicted lineup and everything like that. But it's massive now this weekend for United. But again, thank God the international break. This has been an absolutely killer international break. And I say this every single time we've got one. But this has dragged its arse out, hasn't it? Like, get back to normal football. The pain of not watching Manchester United. And of course, when we come back and all the journalists get back into Manchester United and get to talking again, we should get confirmation of the Saudi mini tournament that we're supposed to be doing and when that's going to be, because that is going to happen. So, yes, that, again, will be a big one. And if that Saudi mini tournament and them games do happen, we'll have it covered here on Forever United TV alongside Match Bingo. Of course, make sure that you get downloading the app now off the link in the live chat or the description or the QR code on your screen right now. Download the app, get it on your phone, deposit £10 after making your free account, and your deposit money will be doubled, 100% boosted if you put in promo code FUTV. Join the many people, including Gems there, who has pinned that chat up there in the live comment section, who is 700 quid up right now on the game. So let's get as many winners as we possibly can. And I've said this all week. I'm manifesting FUTV winners on this game because I'm scared that we might need a little bit of something to cheer us up this weekend. Because as confident as I can be going into a Liverpool game, I'm not. And I am fearing the worst as well as trying to be upbeat about it. So, yes. Get onto that, everybody, and get them tickets now. It's only £2 a game. You can buy 5 tickets now for the price of 4 and get your Liverpool and Manchester United tickets now. Tomorrow, everybody, I will be announcing the Fantasy 5 competition as well over on Big Up, so make sure that you do jump onto the shows tomorrow as well. That's not it for today, by the way. We've still got plenty coming up, and I will be keeping you fully updated on any news that breaks throughout the day as always. keeping you up to date for on and off the pitch news for Manchester United. But yeah, it's going to be now very, very busy again going forward. Thank God we have got these games now back again, and we can talk football, normal football. Well done to England for qualifying for the World Cup, but bring me Premier League football right now, please. Give it me. And that, it's going to be such a massive 4 games for Ruben Amorim as well. So make sure that you're there. Make sure you've subscribed to Forever United TV. Hit that bell notification for all of your updates. Please pop a like on this video if you haven't already. We are just creeping up to the 300 like mark as well. Make sure that you do check out OK Jerseys on the screen as well right now. Scan the QR code to get all of your replica football tops, retro and up to date, and some special edition stuff as well. Use promo code Adam on the website as well on checkout to get an extra 8% off. That should give you a brand new shirt for the price of £13. Yes, 13 quid. Get on it now, everybody. OK Jerseys there. I will sport some more of their stuff again this weekend on the watch along as well, so you can see it. But that is it for now, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. Make sure you do hit the like and subscribe. And I will catch up with you all later on. Have a good Thursday, everybody.